Hi,
Got it.
everybody. Welcome to Iyengar Yoga Institute of San Francisco. My name is Misia, and I'm one of the staff at the Institute. And I have the pleasure today to interview Sarah, who's an alumni, like myself, of the Art of Teaching program. And Sarah, please introduce yourself because I've heard from board members you've done wonderful things over the years. Please share.
Okay. Yeah. So I can't actually remember what year I graduated from the Institute. I think it was 2010, but maybe not. I would have to go back and look before they had moved locations in San Francisco. So I lived up in Northern California at the time in Chico. And yeah, I had already done one 200-hour teacher training program. And then I did this other one. My name's Sarah Sati. So I'm from Chico, California. Since then, I moved to the Dutch Caribbean. So I live currently on the Dutch Caribbean island of Bonaire, which is the southeastern side of the Caribbean, just above Venezuela. And right now I'm visiting California. So besides teaching Iyengar Yoga and being a graduate of the program, I went on to get certified. So I'm certified at the intro level 2 level. And I also have a master's degree in experimental psychology. And I own a small online business.
Beautiful. Thank you. So the first question I'm asking is, how did your involvement in the Art of Teaching and Evolution of Teaching program help you with your trajectory of teaching Iyengar Yoga? A lot of people, because I also have done a 200-hour, 500-hour and other styles of yoga, but my mind was blown when I was introduced to Iyengar. So I'd love to know more about what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Your mind blows. People don't understand what it's like to really be trained like that. It was like attending a university, and instead of it just being one teacher and what they think that people should learn, it was a collective group of teachers following lineage holders methodology that he had been using and testing with people across the world for years and years and years, for decades. So it was less subjective and it was much more objective and it was much more comprehensive. And actually, that's what made me take it. When I first decided I wanted to be a yoga teacher, I went to my mentor who became my actual mentor, but Tom Hess, who's an Iyengar teacher in Chico, California. And I said that I wanted to become a yoga teacher. And he said, well, if you want to be a yoga teacher, first, you need to read the Yoga Sutras. And I had never even heard of them. I said, oh, okay. And he said, and then you need to go to the Iyengar Institute in San Francisco. And I said, oh, what? And I had already bought a plane ticket to go to the Bahamas to do a 21-day, 200-hour program in like Shivananda or something like this, excuse me. And I didn't even end up going to the Bahamas. Instead, I did this local program because I wanted to start something right away. I did read the Yoga Sutras right away. It ended up being my favorite version of it that I've read like 50 times at this point. And I was waiting to get into the Iyengar Institute because I had to have so many hours of teaching, of working with a teacher at that point and get recommendations. So Janet McLeod wrote my recommendation along with Tom Hess. And anyways, he didn't even go into detail about what it would be like, but to me, it felt like the Harvard of yoga schools. So I knew for sure if I was going to go and teach yoga, I wanted to go to the very best program possible. And that was without a doubt what it is. And I have since, of course, I teach globally, and I've met people from all over the world, teachers from all over the world. And I have never, ever, ever met someone as well trained as I am. And that's not like an egoic thing. It's an absolute, without a doubt, fact. The Iyengar Institute prepares you to understand yoga from the deepest possible perspective and how to teach it from a style that's not just, oh, this is what I like, or this is what I think, but is actually how a learner learns. So you learn how a learner learns in the program. So you learn the best way to teach beyond just what you think you should be providing in yoga. And also you learn what yoga is fundamentally beyond just physical asana. And that was something that I find most people are not getting, the depth of yoga.
Thank you. I did the art of teaching program a couple years ago, and there was a Tom Hess student also that traveled from Chico to San Francisco to take class. So that's awesome that Tom is all these years is continuing to recommend students to come to San Francisco. And everyone, thank you for joining us. This is Sarah, who is a graduate from around 2010 of the Art of Teaching program at the Institute. So the second question is, what advice would you give to alumni who have been out of practice for a while? Because we have this very long list of alumni, and a lot of people stay in touch, but I'm curious to know if you have any feedback or, kind of like, any inspiration for people who've been out of practice. And we're emerging out of the pandemic now, so maybe people didn't want to do things online or what have you, but I'm curious what you have to say to people that haven't been around that long or for whatever period of time.
I would first challenge people to really check in with themselves about what their definition of practicing is. And that we live in a world that has modernized yoga in such a way that people believe that to practice yoga, they need to be stepping on a mat and doing some kind of physical posture. But that is not true. That is not true. And because we live in the modern world that is telling people that that is what yoga is, people are feeling guilt and shame if they are not stepping on their mat every day and doing a physical asana. But that is not yoga. And the system of yoga is so much more than that. It's so much deeper than that. And if you really read the Yoga Sutras, and it says, if you understand this one sutra, that yoga is about stilling the fluctuations of the mind, you do not even have to read the rest of the Yoga Sutras. And so I would invite people, if they're feeling guilt and shame for not having stepped on their mat, because that's where it's coming from. It's an internal feeling. Oh, I haven't practiced in so long. Check in with yourself about what it means to practice. It means to be whole, to live a whole life. And that doesn't even have to include any posture besides maybe a meditation seat or a pranayama seat sometimes. So if you haven't stepped on your mat in a long time, it's okay. That doesn't mean you're not a yogi. It doesn't mean you're not doing your own yoga in your own unique way. The physical asana practice is a method for us to understand what it means to go inward and to become a whole human being on a whole human being planet. And so that can look any number of ways. And when you relieve yourself of the responsibility to step on that mat every day, you find you naturally gravitate back towards it if you like it and it's right for you. And so get rid of the shame, get rid of this guilt trip about what yoga should and should not be, and watch some of Prashant's lectures.
That's amazing, because I like that about the Institute too, that there's tons of asana classes and workshops, but I've also enjoyed the sutra study classes quite a bit. So I think that's really important. And then the last question I have for you is, there's two actually. Well, you kind of answered this in the first one. What was your favorite part of art of teaching? And you basically said it was like the Harvard of a yoga learning experience. I don't know if you had any more to add on to that, as far as like, do you remember like, was Janet your mentor? Do you remember things that her other instructor said to you, or any trinkets? Like, I don't know, is there any like one specific thing that you kind of like held on to and that infused your life after the teacher training program?
The pranayama classes were so rich. They were so ridiculously rich and deep and internal, but also the philosophy. So I love the physical practice. Physical asana is cool and wonderful, and I really enjoy it. But I'm much more interested in the philosophy of yoga. And we got that in the teacher training program at a high level with a lot of depth. And then you get to sit in a community with other people who are thinking deeply on these topics, because that's what people are coming to yoga for in the first place. They're coming to feel better, to heal, to optimize themselves. And it doesn't have to look any specific way. It's really understanding how the mind works. And you get that in the program. And that's really what I got from it the most.
That's great. Yeah, we would meet once or twice a month, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday was like, you know, for 3 to 4 hours. And then Sunday, like the last couple hours was just like pranayama. And that was so perfect just to get, and you know, it wasn't just like ujjayi breath observation. It was just like really depth around like the breath and the subtle body. So I totally agree with that. And this is the last question. How have you honed your practice over the years without getting bored? And you kind of alluded to this earlier, but I'm curious too. You're a mom now, like, you know, you've probably gone through different iterations of like experiencing life. So how does the practice stay fresh for you?
It's totally a mindset. It's you could practice Trikonasana. Again, I urge anybody that is listening to this that likes philosophy at all to watch the lectures with Prashant on YouTube or read some of his readings, because he really touches on this. You can approach Trikonasana from 5,000 different perspectives. You can do Trikonasana for the feet, Trikonasana for the knees, Trikonasana for the pelvis. You can do it for the neck. You can do it for the inhale. You can do it for the exhale. You can do it for the eyes, for the ears. Trikonasana is never just one way, and that's in every single posture. And so you can constantly progress, and at the same time you can be stable where you are. And I think for myself, I've been able to evolve my practice with my life. It's always looking slightly different, and now my practice is pretty physically intense, and it's been that way for quite a few years. But especially in the beginning, I had some serious injuries because I had been a distance runner, and I had some injuries that had happened from car accidents or whatever. So for a long time, my practice looked like just restorative. And I felt some guilt and shame around that, because I would see people and everybody's doing these amazing things. But as I matured as an individual, then I understood that that's what the physical practice is for. It's to adapt and change with you, and to allow you to continue to evolve internally from that physical practice. And that's the number one thing I would say to people is, if you are not maturing mentally over the years of your practice, you're doing something wrong. And so you want to gauge your practice not from how good you are at an asana, but from how much you're able to see things from new and varied and more mature perspectives. And that's really what the development of yoga is. It's a mental maturation.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And everyone, we are in the middle of our Yogathon annual fundraiser. And I really wanted to get Sarah on to, I mean, I could talk all day long about the Art of Teaching program, but I wanted to also get other alumni along to share how important this program has been to shaping their lives. So please make a donation to Yogathon. Go to IYISF.org and you'll see all the information there. And Sarah, how can people find you, your website, social media? Do you want to share that before we close?
I'd love to. You can find me online. My website is www.mindfulisland.com. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Sati, SarahOmSati. Yeah, and I love to connect with people. So please, if anybody wants to connect with me, that would be amazing.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Take care. You too. Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.